Hello my friends, and welcome to a follow-up video from one I did recently where I shared 10 Christian fiction authors that I really enjoy and 20 of their books. And I mostly stuck to like contemporary mystery suspense kind of thing for that video. This one we are doing Christian fantasy writers with like the caveat that that does not necessarily mean like the book has any necessarily Christian or faith elements. These are not necessarily like allegories in any way, but I wanted to feature Christian fantasy writers whose books show that they're Christian in some way. Ultimately, what I want to see is I want to see light win out over darkness. I actually personally prefer for books not to have an allegory. I'm not putting like Narnia on here because I feel like I don't need to recommend a book everyone has heard about. I do like the allegory in Narnia, but for the most part, it can feel forced in books. So when it comes to Christian fantasy, I just prefer them to be good, clean, light wins out over darkness kinds of books. But sometimes there is an allegory and I like it. So there are exceptions. I almost have enough books to do this same video for Christian science fiction authors and books, but I need a few more. So if you have some great Christian science fiction books or authors that write Christian or just science fiction, let me know, because I have like 5 or 6 books. It's just not quite enough for a video. Before we dive into all the books, I just want to say a huge thank you, you guys. My channel hit 20,000 subscribers a few days ago, and that's all thanks to you. I asked on Instagram what I should do to celebrate, and the only thing that I've got from people is that I should break my book buying ban and go buy some books. It sounds like the ideal way to celebrate, so thank you to each and every one of you. All the subscribers, all the hearts, there's not hearts, thumbs up and comments all help so much. And I just want to say thank you, because it wouldn't happen without you. So let's dive into the stack of fantasy books I have here in front of me. First, we're going to start out with one that I just love for like so many different reasons, and that is Fox by Nadine Brandeis. There's so many elements to this that I love. First of all, the cover is gorgeous. I went to England as an au pair at the age of 18, like a nanny, and I was there for Guy Fawkes night, bonfire night. So I like that aspect of this. So in this book, we have a boy named Thomas Fawkes, I think. He is supposed to be, yes, the son to Guy Fawkes. Guy Fawkes is the one in the 1500s, I think, that had the gunpowder plot to kill the king of 17th century London. Okay, I'm a little bit off. So in this fantasy world, people can control colors based on the mask that they wear. So whatever color your mask is, that is the color you can control around you. So a lot of times I think green would be a great mask to have because, you know, you got the leaves from the trees, you got the grass. As I'm looking outside my window, it's very much winter and brown and white out there. So brown would be a great mask to have. I definitely found myself as I was reading this book being like, okay, if I had this color of mask, what could I control? I loved that element to it. There is also a stone plague going throughout the land, and our main character is very slowly turning to stone, which is a very interesting aspect. And then we've got the whole gunpowder plot in there as well. This is the first book that I read that I at least was aware of was like a historical fantasy where we are like set in a historical moment, kind of an event, but with some fantasy elements, and it kind of led me down a rabbit trail. I would still love to read more like this if you have recommendations. I also really liked her Romanov book, just as like a sub recommendation. Also beautiful cover, also historical fantasy because we've followed the Romanov family. The only thing is there is like some magic in there that some people, I'm a little bit like, I don't know how I feel about like this one scene, but I love the rest of the book and I loved getting to know the Romanov family. So there's like an extra recommendation for you. Of course, I had to recommend my favorite, I think she might be my favorite fantasy writer, Victoria McCombs, and I had to make a decision on which book of hers to recommend, and I'm gonna go with the first one of hers that I just loved because it has a special place in my heart for that, and that is Mortal Queens. This is a duology. The second book is Lethal Kings. Extra recommendation in there because you should definitely finish it up. So we are in a land where there are 5 islands, and every year a girl from the center island gets chosen to go into the Fae world and be the queen of the Fae. Well, of course, our main character gets chosen at the beginning of the book, and as she goes to the Fae world, she's like, wait a minute, why have we never questioned why they need a new queen every year? Like, what is happening to the older queens? The queen from the previous year always shows up at the ceremony, but they never see the more previous ones, like the older queens. And it turns out there's a reason for that. And so there's a bit of a kind of like a curse, I guess, that our main character is trying to break. And meanwhile, they are in the world of the Fae. And the Fae are very tricky. They cannot lie, but they're always trying to make political alliances, which if you don't like political fantasy, don't let that scare you, because I generally don't either. But I really, really enjoyed this entire duology, and this just led me down a rabbit hole that is her books. So don't just stop with this duology. Even more recommendations. Let's do a chunky one. Should we do a big chunky one? How about Blood of the Stars by Corinne Norton? This is one of the biggest books on this list, possibly the biggest. It checks in at over 650 pages. I still need to read book 2, but I can get a little daunted by size for sure. So we follow mostly 2 main characters, but there's a third one that comes in a little bit. What I really like is there is a little heading when it is different people's chapters. So the little flowers here are, I can't remember how to say her name, Ileana's chapters. And she kind of has this magic where flowers spring up around her. At the beginning of the book, she is in the care of people that are definitely using her for her power. I'll say that. And then the other chapters, the other main character is Garen, and he's got a little ship, not a little ship, it's probably a big ship, for his chapters. And he is a prince, yes. And when he was a child, he lost his friend. He saw his friend get kidnapped, which happens to be our other main character. And so he is searching for her. And then every now and then we have a chapter from another character. I'll see if I can find. There are stars on her chapters, yeah. And then there's another character, which I won't really say much of because I feel like she comes in a little bit later. I don't want to give any spoilers there. So if you like fantasy that is thick, but it reads quickly, it didn't take me that long to read this book, even though it still feels daunting. I highly recommend Blood of the Stars, and then continuing with the series. I say as I need to continue with the series. If you like dragon books, let's talk about 2 dragon books. First, let's talk about Saints and Monsters by Ellen McGinty. This is a book where we have a main character that has kind of a bit of a disability. She has blue hair, which is strange but not completely unheard of. I think there are people, ancestors of hers, that have had it, if I remember correctly. But she also has a curved spine. And at the beginning of the book, her sister is about to become queen. But then all of a sudden there is a curse, and everyone that was in this one room at the time, her sister and a bunch of other people, are frozen. So our main character has to go to talk to the dragons to try to break the curse. And things don't go quite as planned. It's a quick read. I have no idea. I don't have the physical copy of it. It is on my want to buy list, but it reads very quickly. I don't know if it was as short as it felt. So I'm excited to read more from the author, and she is on our list for the indie book clubs. So I will be reading more this year. Okay, the other dragon book. Actually, I've got a few more dragon books. Well, let's just do a dragon kick here. We've got Ember Gold by Rochelle Nelson. This one, we follow a girl who's late teens, I think. She has lived a very isolated life. Her father has kind of kept her in this cabin, and then there's been like her father's cousin and his like child bride. And the father's cousin is not a nice guy in this cabin, and that's pretty much all that our main character has known. And then at the beginning of the book, she is supposed to leave. Yes, she's leaving with him. So there is this dragon that has been hunting her father for years, and he now has the antidote maybe to fight the dragon, to get it to stop following him. And so they're on a journey to go to this place so that he can kind of like banish the dragon, except things don't work out exactly like she thought they were going to. There's a lot more to the story than her father has been telling her for years. Okay, now just a quick little cozy dragon book. We've got Wormwood Abbey by Christina Bear. This is the first book in a 5-book series, and we follow a Victorian clergyman's daughter. She is a writer. She writes under a pen name. She writes mystery books, obviously not very popular for Victorian women to do, hence the pen name. And at the beginning of the book, they go to her father's home. It's a crumbling Gothic abbey. So this has like Gothic Victorian vibes. It turns out that there are some secrets to this Gothic abbey, like dragons. I really enjoyed the first book. I still need to finish the series. I've got the last book left. Hoping to read that before May is my goal, but definitely recommend book 1. Okay, guys, a dragon book that is fantasy, that was written in the 90s, 95? I need to talk about it. It's The Oath by Frank Peretti. I have like this really old edition that has no cover. This was probably like my first fantasy book I ever read and loved, but I had no idea that it was fantasy. Loved Frank Peretti in high school. Wish he was still writing. So in this one, we follow pretty much this town, Hyde Valley, I think it's called. And pretty much this town has been hiding a dragon for hundreds of years. At the beginning of the book, this couple is what they think mauled by a bear. The husband dies. They find half of his body, and the wife can't remember anything. She's alive, but doesn't really remember or didn't see anything. And so the husband's brother does some investigating because he is some kind of wildlife guy, and he quickly realizes this doesn't make any sense for this to be a bear. And he gets to know the people of the community, and they're like so obviously hiding something. It's, as someone that grew up in a small town where everybody knew everybody's business, and like certain things you just don't talk about, like I could relate to so many parts of this book because people really watched out for each other in one sense, but also really threatened each other in another. Yeah, definitely good. I mean, it's a little dated in a few areas now, a book that was written in the 90s, but for the most part, minus a few, technology references that are dated, like the rest of it feels very fresh and like it could have just been written. If you have not read The Oath, you definitely need to read it. Next up is Truth Cursed by Angie Dickinson. This speaks to like my teenage side, because in this we have a main character who is sent to a school. Students train in every accomplishment suitable for young ladies: music, dancing, etiquette, and strangely, poison making, fencing, and lockpicking. Like, I loved that. So our main character, when she was 8, her aunts cursed her to never be able to tell a lie. So when asked a direct question, she had to tell the truth, which is an interesting aspect, very much like Ella Enchanted-esque. But then on top of it, she's going to school to learn to be a spy, which is hard when you have to tell the truth. She kind of can lie a bit, but like she will violently throw up. So it doesn't really last. Like, it's very obvious when she lies. And she and a couple other girls from her school are selected to infiltrate the king's court because they've, I think it was the king's family murdered her family years before. And yeah, it was a good read. I feel like there was a lot more to it than I was expecting. It took some twists and turns that I didn't expect. And I'm very excited to read another Angie Dickinson because I just got one recently and definitely excited to read more from her. What is this hair doing over here? One that I just read this month is Before Beauty by Brittany. Oh, I'm blanking on her last name, but I'll put up the picture. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. We have a prince who has really been trained by his father to not be soft in any way, not to talk to the servants, not to show any compassion. There is a magic, the fortress that they live in has some magic to it. It has some power. And his father has really tried to train him to not show weakness so that the fortress can be as powerful as possible. When the prince was younger, I don't remember exactly what age it was, he was kind of doing a parade thing with his father, and he kind of accidentally pushed someone. He was trying to not show a soft side, and he pushed a girl, and she got kind of run over by a horse. So she has been crippled ever since. And it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So eventually the fortress goes dark. For whatever reason, the magic has left. And in order to try to bring it back, there was like a prophecy where a strong heart was needed. And he gets this girl that he had injured years before to come to the castle because he's been told that she is very strong, even though her body is weak. And he wants her to bring the magic back to the castle, to strengthen the castle again. Things definitely don't go quite as he planned. I loved seeing our main characters, like the female, her strength through her weakness, but also she's not perfect. Also appreciate that. I feel like so often characters can be written a little too perfect. So I'll be talking about it again in my February reading wrap-up, but I wanted to recommend that one. And then the last one, I shared this one recently in my romance subplot recommendations video, and that is Mark of the Raven by Morgan L. Bussey. I forgot to grab it, it's downstairs. This is a fantasy story where we have, I think, 7 different houses with different powers. They can kind of control different things. Our main character, Lady Celine, is from the House of Dreamers. They can dream walk, enter people's dreams. And in the last number of years, she finds out now that her family has been using this power to assassinate people. They've been hitmen for hire. They enter people's dreams and crush their spirit and kill them. Well, at the beginning, her family tells her she needs to assassinate this head of this other house, and she can't go through with it. There was a lot I liked about this book. I liked how our main character, she was like really raised, just like in Before Beauty, to be very tough and strong, not show weakness. But she's very soft, and like inside she knows that's not right. And then the castle that they live in, like the descriptions of the castle and the secret passages, I was like, oh man, this sounds so fun. I would like to come visit here. Not when the assassins are there though. Definitely not then, but some other time. Yeah, and I read that book right before I started BookTube, the summer before I started BookTube, so it holds a special place in my heart. So I think that was 10-ish books plus a bunch of extras that are fantasy books written by Christian authors that, in my opinion, have Christian themes, even though they are not like overtly Christian books. If you guys have some recommendations, please let me know. I would love to hear them. Add them to my TBR. And thanks again for 20,000 subscribers. I really appreciate you guys.